Next for me is so we're still doing unconditional positive regard, and we're still focusing towards yourself, and I am down here. And it says, is your self-perception too harsh? So self-perception means the way you look at yourself, right? So that's what we've been talking about with unconditional positive regard. And too harsh means like too strict, right? It's another way of saying it. And today I wanted to share with you more on actually physical appearances, right? I wanted to share another side, and I'm not sure how you are feeling about it, so we can discuss it, but yes, today it's actually more what you look like, but I think we do the same thing with what's inside, right? We are too harsh, we tend to be strict. And so to get us started with the topic, I would like you to, as best as you can, talk about what makes you feel negative, right, towards yourself. So we focused before on your strength. So yes, what is it that makes you feel negative towards yourself? And I'll explain my own experience, and that's why I decided also to focus on appearances, right? So go ahead, 6 minutes, as best as you can. Yeah, so I wanted to just share my own experience with physical appearances, and it is about being too skinny. And I know usually everybody's like, it's so great to be too skinny, it's wonderful. Well, it's not. One thing, for instance, that maybe a lot of people don't realize is that when you get sick and you can't eat for 1 or 2 days, you have zero energy, right? Like your body doesn't have any fat to eat while you're not eating. And so for me, it was always being sick meant really sick, right? Because I really my energy level would drop like crazy. So my height is 173, and I used to weigh 49 kilos. To give you an idea, that's only 5 kilos less than now, right? So that was really, and so it was really hard to talk to people about it. Because everybody's like, oh, you're so skinny, it's so cool. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's really not that cool. And I never liked food until I turned 18 and I went to the US. And somehow I just started liking food. But until I was 18, from 6 years old to 18, I didn't like food. And that was really hard to talk to people about too, because they couldn't understand. But I was never hungry. Never. Never, ever, ever. I never felt hungry, and so food kind of like, I have to eat, really? So the reason is I had a big surgery when I was 6 years old, and they cut this much of my intestine. That was not the worst part. The worst part is that for 1 month, I didn't eat. They were feeding me with, tubes, because my intestine needed to, get back together and heal. And when you're 6 years old and you don't have to eat for a month, it becomes really hard, even when you grow up. So it was such a difficult experience, because there was pressure from the outside and my own pressure on myself, right? That I couldn't accept that being too skinny was okay, right? And that because I didn't feel that way, but others were telling me, so it was a very confusing situation for me. And so the US changed my life for 2 main reasons. First, I learned to speak English there. And second, my body image changed a lot, right, drastically. And I could finally appreciate food And because of that, I gained weight, right? So I came back from the US, I was 57, almost 10 kilos more. My mom at the airport. I went to the US when the internet started. So my parents didn't have a computer. I was in 1997, 1998, so the year you were born for some of you, right? And so the internet just started for everybody. So my mom didn't see me. We talked on the phone. She didn't recognize me at the airport. I swear to you, like, I walked towards her and I could tell I was gone for 1 year, though, right? It was 1 year. And I could tell she did not recognize me until I was like standing in front of her. I'm like, hi, Mom, it's me. So it was quite interesting. So I wish I had found a way earlier. I think I would have had a more, how can I say, joyful teenage years, right? Because I came back from the US, I was 19 already. I felt it took me a little too long to get over it. So that's why also I wanted to focus on appearances, because it can be a real burden, right, on people. So here's my story. And the thing I wanted to share with you today, besides this, is connected to actually a commercial. So that's very unusual for me to use commercials, but this one is unusual, right? You know the brand Dove, D-O-V-E, like soap and shampoo, it's milk-based. You have it in Japan too, right? Dove has a very interesting marketing strategy, right? They show real women on advertisement in Europe. In Japan, but like in Europe, they're not models, right? They're just everyday people, and because it's about skincare, right? So that's one reason why I like the brand. But when I saw this one, I thought it was very interesting. So because I could really connect, right, with what the commercial is about, I wanted to share it with you. So yes, as I said, I experienced how you can be very harsh, right, very strict toward yourself. And this is what the commercial is showing. And the title is Seeing Yourself Through the Eyes of Others, right? So basically, you have a situation where a woman, it's perfect, shoes on here. A woman comes and she is describing herself to a sketch artist, like someone who makes people's, portrait, actually for the police. That's what he used to do for the FBI. So he doesn't see her, right? They're separated by a curtain, and he asks her a question, how are your eyes, how is your face, lips, nose, hair, and he draws the portrait, the face of that woman according to what she says. Then another person, it's not necessarily a woman, but another person comes, sits down, and describes that woman. Because they met for like 10 minutes beforehand, and they were talking. So this stranger sits down and describes the woman, the same woman, and then you can see the two pictures. So I was so impressed by the differences, right? So let me show you the commercial, and basically that's what one of the comments is. Our self-perceptions are generally kind of harsh, right? The way we look at ourselves is usually kind of harsh. Maybe I'll show you first the pictures, then I'll show you the whole commercial. So here you go, yeah? So this is the woman, right? One of them. This is her self-portrait, the way she described herself, and this is how the other person described her. And I don't know what you think, but to me, I'm like, wow, her self-portrait looks so strict and almost angry, right? Like she seemed to have focused so much on the bad things about herself, whereas the description by the other person is closer to reality too, right? I mean, when you look at it, it's like, that's not the same person. So her own description doesn't match what she actually looks like, right? It's the stranger's description that is way closer, and when you hear the description, you realize way kinder, right? She's so strict with herself, right? So that's one example. And then that's the other one. So that's the real, that's self-portrait. And this is description by the other person. And again, I mean, like, really? I mean, this one is, I don't know, it's like totally different for me. I still don't think she looks like her, right? I still don't think the person described, but it's much kinder, right? Like there's less negativity in that one, I thought. So, and I think I have another one. Some of the things that are said right during the when this woman, I think her name is Florence, when she sees herself, she says, "I should be more grateful of my natural beauty." That's one part. But what she says after, that's the part that touched me the most. It has an impact on the choices in the friends we make, in the jobs we apply for. And maybe you don't think you look good enough for that job. How we treat our children, it impacts everything. It couldn't be more critical for your happiness. Right? So this idea that the way you look at yourself has an impact on a lot of aspects in your life, right? Not just your self-perception, but how it influences your relationships and what you think you can do or cannot do, right? So I was really touched by her reactions to her self-portrait and the stranger's portrait. And basically, she says, being kind, right, to yourself. That was, to me, the best message that she could give us, right? Be kind, right? Be kind, or be kinder if you are already kind to yourself. So the first comment was our self-perceptions, the way we look at ourselves, are generally kind of harsh, right? Strict. The second thoughtful comment for me was we spend time analyzing and fixing the things which aren't quite right, but we should spend more time appreciating the things we do like, right? So finding this better balance, right, between self-critical and self-loving or self-caring. So yes, my question is, what do you like about yourself?